Hey, today I thought I would show you the inside of a 722.6, or also known as a NAG1 transmission. This is the first time I've ever rebuilt one, so I thought it would be interesting to give everybody sort of a newbie's perspective at what's involved with rebuilding these things, because I know automatic transmissions can be pretty daunting because, I don't know, they're basically the most complicated system in a modern car, I think, mechanically speaking. But like anything, if you break it down into its component pieces, it's not so bad, especially if you have a good manual to guide you through the process. So let me show you what I've got here and how I went about working on this thing. Here you see everything broken down into its component pieces. I've already put all new seals and clutches and steels in all the pieces, and I'm about to start stabbing everything back together, but I just wanted to sort of highlight a few things that if you decide to do this for the first time that you should definitely have. For the most part, it just takes tools you already have, like screwdrivers and Torx bits and things like that. But a few things that I just want to point out. First and foremost is this manual. It's the ATSG, the Automatic Transmission Service Group manual for this transmission. I bought this, I think it was 35 bucks. I bought it as a downloadable PDF, and then I printed it out and put it in this binder. Don't try and do this without this manual. Pay the 35 bucks. It's totally worth it. It tells you everything you need to know. It gives you detailed measurements and detailed exploded diagrams for everything inside the transmission. So this is a must-have. The other thing is snap ring pliers. I had some snap ring pliers, but I didn't have a set that had a long enough reach on it, because there's one snap ring inside that's way down inside a hub, and I basically had to get these extended all the way out here, and it still barely fit because the thickness of this is a hindrance to get down inside where it needs to go. So make sure you have a set of long reach snap ring pliers. You'll need some transmission assembly goo, which is good for pre-lubing the seals inside and sticking a few things in place that need to be held in place. I just got some aluminum pans with some transmission fluid in it there that I soaked the clutches in per the instructions. You go through and dry fit everything first and measure your gaps, your clearance between the snap rings and the steels to make sure everything's good. But then once everything's good, you want to soak your clutches for 20-30 minutes at least before you do final assembly. And then the other thing the other thing is this drip pan that I just bought from my local auto parts store. This was really helpful, because even after you drain the transmission pan, once you take it apart, you're going to drip a lot of fluid everywhere, and this keeps it all contained. So get one of those for sure if you don't have one. The other thing I want to point out is that the manual it assumes you're going to have a fixture for holding the transmission. I think it says in here somewhere that like a Turbo 400 fixture will work. It's a kind of fixture that clamps onto the sides here, and then you can put it on your workbench and spin it around. And they have you doing this rebuild from the point of view, if you have the case vertically like a bucket hanging on a stand, and they have you pull things out of the case starting with the front and moving towards the back. I don't have one of those, and it's just as easy, if not easier, to build it the opposite direction, where you flip it up on its face. And if it's a Mercedes transmission, the output shaft is a little bit longer than the bell housing, so you need to put it up on some blocks of wood or something, because it won't stand flat like that, because the output shaft's too long. So before you take it all apart, you just stand it up on end like this. Imagine the whole thing assembled still. And then you can take the pan off, you can take the valve body off, and then there's just a few bolts that you undo to get the whole case lifted off. And at that point, you have all of these components will be stacked in there vertically, and you just start picking them off one at a time and work on them individually so that you don't get parts mixed up or lost or confused, and just go through the manual and rebuild each piece one at a time. And you'll get to the point where I am now, where everything's ready to go back together, and it's just going to be a matter of stabbing everything back in and rebuilding that stack. And then one thing I haven't done yet is go into the case and replace the clutches that are in the rear of the case. So I'll do that after I get my workspace cleaned off here. Once everything's stacked back up, I'll do the case, clutches, finish cleaning the case, and then you just put the case back on over the top of it, and then put the valve body on, button it back up, and that should be the end of it. So I think I'm going to try something new and run a time lapse of that whole process. We'll see how it goes. And there you have it. That went together a lot easier than I thought it would. I thought I'd have to struggle getting those clutches lined up, but if you get all the teeth lined up before you try and stab it, it worked out pretty good. So all that's left now is clean up the valve body and reassemble the bottom end of this. The valve body is only a couple years old. It's a Sound German automotive unit that's got the trans brake on it. So I'm probably not going to disassemble the whole thing since it's practically new. The conductor plate was brand new when I put that on, so I'll probably just clean that up, bolt it on, stick the converter in it, and call it good. I guess that's it for now, so I will catch you later.